Hey guys, so I'm going to speak a little bit today with you all about dating. Yes, it is cuffing season, so let's chit chat for a minute, okay? If you don't know me, then my name is Noni Golden Scott. Yes, freshly married. Wonderful husband named Quincy. You might hear me mention him, you might not. We'll see. But today I want to speak about dating. I think that ever since I kind of got engaged and started planning our wedding and kind of getting married, you're starting to see a lot more engagements and weddings and all these things, especially because it's getting colder now. It's the end of the year, sometimes around this time, September to around December, you see a lot of engagements because you're going to see a lot of weddings in summer and spring next year. So I wanted to kind of consider some things as we enter into relationships or consider relationships or start to consider engagements as well. So the first thing that kind of came to my heart when I started kind of seeing a enormous amount of conversations about dating and finding the one and being married, the first thing that came to my heart was, are you submitted enough to submit? Are you committed enough to submit your life, your desires to the Lord? Are you committed enough to submit your desires to the Lord? And I think it's a question that everybody has to ask themselves. It doesn't matter how old you are. Sometimes we think that, oh, I'm 30 some years old, I need to be married like now. But if God is saying, I know that you want to be married, are you committed enough to me to submit a desire to me? Are you able to say, these are my heart's desires to get married, to bear kids, to have this career, to have these lifestyle or whatever the thing is? Are you able to say, God, not my will done, but yours be done? And I'm going to submit what I desire, my heart, to you, the lover of my soul, to you, the king of my life, to you, my God, Adonai, that is Lord and Master, which means whatever you say, whatever you command, whatever you desire, that which I will pursue. Are you able to say that you can have this? And I think what's really interesting about it is like that's what worship is. Worship is not just I lift my hands on Sunday morning and I may do it Thursday or Wednesday with Bible study, but worship is saying, I give my life to you. I lay it down before you. Worship is saying, I honor you. I would give you praise above and over myself or anybody else. Worship is honoring the Lord and exalting Him mostly above ourselves. And so consider that. I worship the Lord, so am I allowing him to be king over this area, this desire of my heart as well? And so that's the first question to ask yourself. Am I committed enough to submit the desires to the Lord? Especially when you have a guy in interest or have this desire, okay, Lord, this is a guy that's right, he's cute, he's saying the right stuff, or I'm kind of liking this dude, I'm kind of feeling him. But if you're saying no, then God, I won't go further. If you're saying not now, then God, I'll take it slow. I'm just not going to move ahead of God. And so these are questions to ask yourself. Another thing that I kind of wanted us to and I'll talk a little bit about marriage, but think about marriage and the fact that it is not just so that you can have sex and be with somebody. Like, marriage is literally the living example of God's covenant to the church. He has made marriage so relevant to us that he's made it culturally, he's made it generationally. He's like, it doesn't matter your ethnic background, doesn't matter what age of time that we are in, I'm going to allow this marriage since Adam and Eve to continue on until the end of time, so that you can always see the God covenant example, that you can always see that this is what I have with you, this is what I want for you. And so you can see why marriage is under attack. Always. Like, there is, on every angle, marriage is under attack. Marriage is under attack when you make an idol. It's under attack when you move too fast, when you delay it. It's under attack when you're in the marriage and you and your spouse are going back and forth. Like, it's on every attack. It's on every angle. It's on attack because this is an example of God's covenant to the church. And of course, the enemy doesn't want people to see the truth, the truthful example or a biblical example of marriage, because is amazing. And so just consider how sacred marriage is, how it's not something to rush into, especially on the spiritual side. Like, you're not just entering into it and it's going to be beautiful, or it's going to be like fluff. Like, it's not just fluff. Like, marriage is meant to change you and transform you into the image of God, because it is an example. It's a light to a lost and dark world, that this love, this patience, this grace, this power is real. You know what I'm saying? And when you enter into covenant, you can have it too. And so I believe that, and I think there's so much more to say about marriage. But of course, I'm freshly married, so I'm not going to be like teaching you guys about marriage or anything. So I just think that it's really sacred and really something that you should not rush into, that you should consider with great fear, as far as like just careful consideration about entering into a courtship that you know may enter into marriage, or enter into a marriage. You know, like, okay, or at this moment where we're engaged or we're about to be engaged, let us consider, or we prepared for this. And I know a lot of times people have said, I just desire my marriage to be glorifying to God, and I want my, I can't wait till I get married because it's going to bring glory to God, and we're going to da da da. But what I want us to recognize as well, and this could be point two, I guess, if you're keeping notes, I don't know, but this would be this: you want your marriage to be glorifying to God, but you need for your relationship to be glorifying to God. And for your relationship to be glorifying to God, your life has to be glorifying to God. You cannot skip steps. It can't just be, well, once I get married, then I'll start living righteously and walking in holiness with my spouse. No, you need to start now. Okay, I want to have a boyfriend. I want my relationship, or I want my boyfriend. I want this courtship that I walk into to be pleasing, glorified to God the entire way. Well, if that's not in your heart now, that's not going to change when they come along. Because when they come along, you're going to have to already learn how to have boundaries, already learn what your flesh is triggered by. Like, you're going to already need to know yourself. And so in this period, you can't just enter a marriage and not know yourself. Like, while you're single now, take the time to discover yourself and discover God with you. Like, discover God's identity for you, like who you are in Christ, your purpose. Discover who He is, so that's going to help you so much in every other area as a whole in your life. And so, yeah, consider that. Don't just say, well, when I get married, because it's in covenant, we can now have sex and it's gonna be glorifying God. Like, that's only the little bit about that. Like, that's only one section of marriage. You are going to have to say, I need for my husband to be the lead, and I need for me to be his helpmeet. Like, y'all have to be prepared for this thing spiritually, because I think that's probably like the first thing that me and my husband kind of learned when we got married. We only married for like 4 weeks, maybe. It will be 4 weeks in a minute. Anyways, but that's like one of the first things that we learned, was that the spiritual attack is real. Like, it's real. And it was things that we never experienced spiritually before that we were getting attacked with. I'm like, all because you entered the covenant. And it's like we take it so lightly sometimes, because we're so mesmerized by marriage and the dress and the event and being with our men and being with our wives like that. But no, like, there's a very real attack because of how sacred, how beautiful, and how much of an example of a light that marriage is to a world, our generation, our world. You know what I'm saying? So, again, if you want your marriage to glorify God, make sure that you glorify God. Make sure that you are living a lifestyle that glorifies God. And you cannot twist and turn scriptures and make it work for your relationship. God says, do not be unequally yoked. Don't think that you're going to get into this relationship and you're going to use the scripture talks about, like, a wife that can change her husband by living righteously or something like that. I don't want to be out of context, but there's a grace for people that have entered into it wrong, and God graces them and shows them grace. Basically, it changes somebody's hearts, and there are many stories like that. That's not God's design. If it was, then he would have never said, don't be unequally yoked. There's so much drama that you don't have to go through because if you would just obey him the first time around. And so I just believe that consider that first. Consider that if me and this guy or girl that I'm with is not glorifying God, then maybe I need to take a step back. Maybe I need to rethink some things, reconsider some things, because I know that I want my life to be glorified to God and my courtship to be pleasing to him, as well as my marriage to glorify God. And so go back down the line. Start with yourself first. If there's a relationship that you feel like you cannot get out of, or you feel like it's hard for you to break this soul tie, begin dealing with that before you start the next, which will be your courtship. Begin with this. Am I glorifying to God? Are my desires submitted to him? Can I trust him? Do I follow him? Can I obey his commandments? Like, just begin to start with you first. And then your singleness is meant for you and God. I mean, become an extravagant lover for real, Christ. Like, get that. It's gonna help you out so much, because men are fickle. Humans are fickle. Why do we want to wait until we get married to one, so now all of a sudden be like, God help me? No, like, get help now. Start just falling in love with Christ, and that way you'll be able to see all the red flags that come from this opposite sex. I'm saying that because just because it's a guy watching, of course, like, you believe that marriage is between a man and a woman. So hey, check yourself, check the relationship that you're trying to be in, and then continue to strive for perfection in your marriage. And I just want to share one more story, and then I'll let you guys go. But I remember I was at a birthday party recently, and my sister's, my best friend, she watching her daughter, and her daughter had dropped this grape. She was eating this grape and she dropped it, and it fell to the ground or whatever. And so he picked it up and put it on the table. And so there's a cup of fresh grapes, clean fresh grapes, and then there's like these dirty grapes that fell on the ground. And when her daughter was ready to eat the grape again, and had the desire for a grape again, she came back to the table and she reached for the dirty grapes. And my friend had to tap her hand to let it go and grab another fresh grape from the cup that was a little bit higher reach for her. Grab a grape from the cup and give it to her so that she can eat that one. It's healthy, it's good for her. And I just thought about that, and I thought, like, how easy it is for us to grab on to what is unhealthy for us, what is not meant for us, what's bad for us. Because one, we're used to it. Like, she is used to having that grape because she had it before. Like, this is what I was eating before. I dropped it and I want it back. And I think that's how sin is for us. Like, some relationships, some habits, some mindsets. This is what I'm used to. This is what makes me comfortable. This is my safe spot. This bad habit or bad mindset or bad relationship. And so it's easy for us to reach back to that because it's right where we left it. Like, it's in a reachable position for us. However, what is healthy, what is good for us, what will bring glory and honor to God, we would have to be patient and wait for the Father to give us these gifts, to give us what we desire. And I think that's what makes it hard, especially as adults. We think that we can just have what we want. We want it our way. It's like we don't want to wait on the Father to give us anything because we can reach for it ourselves. And sometimes it's like you need to just be patient and wait for the Father to give you what is healthy and good for you. Because sometimes you don't even have the mindset, a healthy mindset, to recognize that I am devouring what is not healthy for me, that I am putting up with what is toxic for me, that I'm settling for what is not good for me. And just to have the taste of a grape, just to have a taste of relationship, the taste of sex, or the taste of not being lonely, to have companionship. And it's like, but at what cost? At what cost? Because you may end up sick. You may end up with a disease that could take you out. Like, you just don't want to be too fast to grab onto stuff, but you want to be patient and say, God, this is what I desire. and in his perfect timing, he will give it to you, and it's going to be beautiful. And I will have to share a part 2 about relationships, because I think the video is getting really lengthy. I don't want it to be too long, but if you guys will tune in to a next video, comment if you want to see another part 2 on this, and I will do so, because there's a lot that I want to share, especially as we enter into cuffing season. So love you guys. Thanks so much for watching, and you guys have a great rest of your day.